voice that sounded like a pipe organ, and eyes that could spot a sin from 3 blocks away, Jack was introduced as the cleaning lady. The cleaning lady, the Reverend asked, eyeing Jack's hairy legs beneath a floral apron. She's very athletic, Jana stammered. And her name is Jacqueline. Jack, committed to the bit, began dusting the Reverend's shoulders with aggressive enthusiasm. Bonjour, monsieur, I am just doing the cleaning. Very moral cleaning. The situation deteriorated rapidly when Stanley Roper decided to drop by to discuss a leaky faucet. Hey, Jack, I need a word. Stanley started, then stopped dead at the sight of Jack in the apron. He looked at the Reverend, then back at Jack. Oh, I get it. Stanley smirked, leaning against the door frame. A little dress up for the new guest. I didn't know you were into the French maid look. Jack. Jana stepped in with the grace of a gazelle on thin ice. This is Jacqueline, Mr. Roper, our cousin from the old country. She doesn't speak much English. Old country. What? The state of confusion. Stanley chuckled, clearly enjoying Jack's misery. The Reverend, however, was starting to look suspicious. Daughter, why does your cousin have a 5 o'clock shadow? It's a family trait. Chrissy blurted out. On the mother's side. In the end, the truth came out in a spectacular fashion, involving a spilled pitcher of lemonade and Jack tripping over the floral apron. As Jack sprawled on the floor, his wig sliding sideways, the Reverend stood over him, trembling with righteous indignation. But then Helen Roper swept in. Oh, Reverend Snow, isn't Jack wonderful? Helen beamed, ignoring the chaos. He's such a gentleman. He takes such good care of the girls. He's like a brother to them. A very confused, non-threatening brother. Somehow, Helen's sincerity and a few white lies about Jack's condition softened the Reverend's heart. He didn't drag Chrissy away, though he did insist on leading a 3-hour prayer session for Jack's recovery. As the Reverend left, Jack collapsed onto the couch, still wearing the apron. Next time your father visits, Chrissy, tell him I've joined a monastery in Tibet. Chapter 6. The Great Soulful Scandal. Jack's culinary career was the backbone of his pride, but it was also the source of his greatest anxieties. The final exam for advanced pastries was approaching, and the challenge was the dreaded chocolate souffle. It has to rise, Jack muttered, pacing the kitchen with a whisk in his hand like a weapon. If it falls, my career is toast. Burnt toast. Jana and Chrissy were banned from the kitchen. Don't even breathe near the oven, Jack warned. The vibrations will kill the air bubbles. Naturally, this was the exact moment the Ropers chose to have a domestic dispute that could be heard through the floorboards. Stanley, I told you not to use the good towels for the dog. Helen's voice drifted up, punctuated by the rhythmic thumping of Stanley's footsteps. The dog likes the thread count. Helen. Upstairs, Jack was sweating. He carefully slid the ceramic ramekins into the oven. Now, he whispered. Total silence. He sat on a stool, staring at the oven door as if he could keep the soulfuls up by sheer force of will. Johnny and Chrissy huddled in the living room, afraid to move. A knock at the door shattered the silence. "Don't answer it," Jack hissed. The knock came again, louder this time. Then the door flew open. It was Larry, looking like a man who had just escaped a high-speed chase. "Jack, buddy, you gotta hide me," Larry shouted, slamming the door. The vibration made the oven racks rattle. Jack let out a strangled cry. "The bubbles. My bubbles. The IRS is after me. Jack, it's all a misunderstanding about a fleet of Pintos." Larry ducked behind the couch. "Get out. Larry, get out." Jack scrambled toward the oven, peering through the glass. The soulfuls were still holding, but they looked nervous. Then, the final blow. Stanley Roper appeared on the balcony, having used a ladder to inspect the gutters, though he was mostly peeping at the neighbor again. He tapped loudly on the glass door. "Hey, you kids seen my hammer?" Jack collapsed. He watched as the chocolate peaks in the oven began to sag, then deflate into sad, brown puddles. "My life is over," Jack moaned, sliding to the floor. "I'll be a short-order cook at a greasy spoon for the rest of my days. I'll have Tripper's burgers and Jack's slop on the menu." But Johnny, always the pragmatist, wasn't having it. "Jack, get up. We're going to fix this." "How?" "You can't uncollapse a sofa." "No, but you can turn it into deconstructed chocolate mousse with a hint of fallen angel," Johnny said, her eyes sparkling. "It's very trendy in San Francisco right now." They spent the next hour plating the accidents with mint leaves and a dash of powdered sugar. When Jack presented the dish to his professor the next day, he leaned into the not interested persona, adding a dash of artistic flair. "It is a commentary on the fragility of the human ego," Jack explained with a straight face. He got an A. That night, they celebrated at the Regal Beagle. Larry bought a round of drinks with money that may or may not have been destined for the government, and Stanley complained that his dessert tasted like fancy mud. "But it's the best mud you've ever had, Stanley," Helen said, clinking her glass against Jack's. And in apartment 201, the laughter echoed once more. A fragile but perfect rise in the unpredictable oven of life. Chapter 7, The Double Date Disaster. The concept of a secret date was something Larry Dallas excelled at, and something Jack Tripper should have avoided like a faulty gas stove. "Look, Jack," Larry said, leaning against the kitchen counter while Jack chopped onions with manic precision. "It's a double date. My girl has a roommate. She's a dancer. She's graceful. She doesn't talk about war stories or leaky faucets." Jack hesitated. "Larry, you know the situation. If Roper sees me out with a girl, I'm back at the YMCA by midnight. Roper is going to a landlord convention in Glendale tonight," Larry promised, flashing a used car salesman grin. "He'll be busy comparing eviction notices and polyester suits. He won't be anywhere near the blue parrot." Reluctantly, Jack agreed. He donned his best velvet sports coat a deep